It's the worst of the CBC for March 16th, 2021, the show where I watch the CBC so you don't have to. And I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but they're just too painful. But I watched the CBC today to do some research on the WE scandal and whatever. All right, so worst covered story of the day, / biggest omission. We got to do this. So biggest omission, it's going to be on how they covered the WE scandal. They did kind of cover it, but again, it got less than 2 minutes. If you saw the video made for the National Telegraph, less than 2 minutes on the WE scandal. They basically, what they're doing is they're doing the same thing as the Cuomo scandal. The real scandal in the Cuomo thing is the nursing homes. What they're focusing on is the sexual misconduct. The real scandal in the WE charity is it was a political slush fund set up by the Liberals to funnel money back to themselves through the WE charity, which are running propaganda for Trudeau, right? It's a fake charity running a political slush fund. What they're trying to turn it into is the fact that, WE was doing unethical, non-charitable things, like having multiple people donate to have a school named after them. Basically, the fact that it was a BS debunked charity and more like a cult. Okay. The real thing is the political slush fund, and the media is ignoring that. Pierre Poilievre basically showed that the Clyburgers had committed perjury in front of their eyes. He proved it with the messages to Ben Chin, and they just did not cover that at all. So, deport the CBC. Where? North Korea. Okay, that was biggest omission. Worst covered story is they spent less than 2 minutes on the WE charity scandal, Canadian political scandal, and they spent over 4 minutes on the Indian farmers nonsense. Now, the Indian farmer thing, what you need to know is they're Khalistanis. It's Khalistani backed, right? So the Khalistani movement is a Sikh separatist movement in India. They blew up the Air India bombing, worst terrorist attack in Canadian history, and they're basically funded by Pakistan. It's a Pakistani push to undermine India. So when you see that the Indian farmer thing, now they didn't cover any of the supposed laws. They're like, there's 3 different law reforms that they're mad at. They didn't cover anything pertaining to the laws or what the actual grievances were. They just showed the the farmers being so sympathetic, and they played the sad violin music, and farmers are dying due to suicide and whatever, right? They didn't tell any content. They didn't let you know anything. They just made you feel bad for the farmers, right? To undermine India. This is a symbol that Pakistan holds sway in what the CBC pushes out. That's what it shows, right? It's the same thing, right? Why did these Indian farmer protests get licensed to protest in Brampton? We were not allowed to protest anything, but Patrick Brown came up because Patrick Brown's controlled by the Khalistanis. This is what you need to know. And all you need to know is it's bad for Canada. I mean, this is bigger news in Canada than it is anywhere else in the world. Like, why are we covering the Indian farmer thing? Like, when there's clearly bigger stories in the world, but why are we covering this? Again, it's the influence of the Khalistanis in Pakistan in our news broadcasting. So there's that. Now, the most funny thing, again, the funniest thing. No, wait, we're going to most funniest. This is trans grammar. I believe my grammar identifies as trans grammar. Let's drop that thought. Okay. Like, my favorite story is, they did, the Oscars, can more diversity save the Oscars? And they just rehashed this whole, leftist, there's not enough black trans women of color who are disabled being nominated for Best Actor or whatever. Just more of this nonsense. And they talked about how the Oscars are going down in viewing popularity. And not once did they say, maybe people stop watching because the over-politicization of the Oscars is driving half the country away from all these award show ceremonies. When these award shows become lectures on left-wing political, far-left political thought, turns out half the population doesn't like that and tunes out. No one even covered this. Although they did get one entertainment reporter to actually say something somewhat sane on this, and she made the point that, Oscar viewership is driven when big blockbuster movies get critical acclaim because people actually see them. When people see a movie, they like it. They have a vested interest in rooting for it. That's what brings them out to the Oscars is high quality blockbusters that get nominated for which is true, which is absolutely true. It's a true statement of a human nature, right? But they're just so perplexed. Can more diversity in politics save the Oscars? Since the injection of the politics into Oscars, viewings have gone down. But if we inject even more politics in the Oscars, then maybe viewings will go up. And of course this year's Oscars are going to be no one's going to see them because no one saw any of these movies this year. And it's not because of diversity here. Do you remember the pandemic? Right? There's literally a pandemic. No one's allowed to go into movie theaters, so no one saw these movies. Why are we having Oscars this year? But it was just so funny to watch them can more diversity save the Oscars? If literally every single acceptance speech is a lecture on politics from people who don't understand it, will that increase viewership? We think so. So Just gotta love when the CBC's got a CBC. So what is again the Rosemary Barden scale? I guess a 10 with the Pakistani nonsense and ignoring it. Yeah, it's a solid 10. Like, nothing was covered properly. Yeah, I think solid 10 in the Rosemary Barden scale of bias. Will we do this again tomorrow? No, tomorrow's the show, so I'll see you then. Will we do it again Thursday? If I feel like I hate myself enough, then yes, there'll be a Thursday CBC. But if I have some high self-esteem, maybe not.